For today's video, we're going to make some medieval rushlights. If you want to learn how to make tongs, this is a great way to practice. It is the same exact way as making a set of tongs, except for this one holds a candle. A rush was used in medieval times because they're a cheap way to add lighting. They're usually soaked in tallow or rendered beef fat, and they will burn for a long time and don't cost a lot of money. So stay tuned. We'll be doing everything for making this rush light holder, as well as turning the base on the spring pole lathe. So for the rush light holder, we're going to use some rebar. This is a great way to use up some of the extra rebar we have just laying around. As I always like to preface my videos, I am not a professional blacksmith. I'm a professional hobbyist, but I do enjoy blacksmithing. I did work at a historic site doing it for several years, about 20 years ago, and I taught my son how to do it, but always take everything with a grain of salt. Since we're recycling some rebar, the first thing we have to do is to square it up and get rid of those annoying edges. You may notice that the shop has a little bit extra lumber in it. I recently got a tree. It's a juniper, and we're making some stools. So this is the simplest stool we're making. We're going to make other stools, even using the spring pole. There are all different styles of rushlight holders. This is one I had made years ago with a simple scroll on the end. But as you can see, it works just like a set of tongs. And so this one I'm actually going to try and make a little bit different. It's going to come over and be able to hold a regular candle as well as the rushlight. So for the first front of it, we're going to take it on this side of the anvil. Come over a little bit, try and knock down the edges just a little bit. Just a little bit different than when we make tongs. It doesn't have to be super thick. It's not holding metal. All it's going to do is hold a small brush. The next thing we're going to do is now bring this side over to the edge of the anvil over here. And now you can see we've got these offset from each other at 90-degree angles, and we will just go ahead and straighten it out a little bit. And next what we'll do is we'll come in and bring this side up, do the same thing we did there. We went across the anvil. Next we'll go across the anvil, rotating it 90 degrees, hitting it down, and then we'll start to taper this out. So in looking at it, I figured out I have to put this taper, if we look at it, this side has to be moved onto this side, if you see here. So I have to, good thing about metal is I can just shove everything this way. But sometimes that's why it's good to watch people that don't know exactly what they're doing, because they can show you the mistakes they made along the way, and hopefully you won't make the same mistake. So we're going to do our best to move this over. So they will be on the opposite side. Here you can really see how the ends of the tong and the handle are on opposite sides of the piece of metal. Next, we continue drawing out the metal and making it thinner. Since we are using rebar, again, we're trying to get rid of any marks that are left on it. Well, I really do have to clean up. I can't find my hardy tool, so we're just going to cut it off on a chisel. Next, what we're going to do is start spreading this part out. So I'm going to take turns pushing it away and pushing it towards me. The horn of the anvil was just a little bit too big, so I decided to use a chisel as a mandrel and work the metal around that. I wish I could have drawn it out a little bit wider to make a bigger cup. We're just going to taper it off down here. You know, and it's kind of like a bodybuilder. If you can make this look thinner, then this looks bigger, right? So we'll just see how that does. Honestly, I'll try and make it a little bit wider so that I can actually fit more than a birthday candle down in there. So we did end up putting a little twist in it here so that when it comes up, So when it comes up, you'll see that side and not that side. Just want it to look kind of nice. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside and do the other one, which will be much easier because it's just doing the two ends, and then a straight pole with a taper. So we'll go ahead, set this off to the side, and we're just going to go ahead and square it up. This isn't going to be as long as that one. They come in all different shapes and sizes. And so this one's going to be a shorter one. So if you are a blacksmith or another blacksmith that's trying to learn, let me know if there's things you would do differently. I'm trying to figure this out on my own. I live, like I said, on an island, a barrier island. There's not a lot of blacksmiths around. So I'm trying to do it on my own, but it's a lot of fun, but it would be helpful if you guys gave me tips and tricks. Just like last time, what we're going to do is bring it across the anvil and hit it here. And now when we go to shape this, to flip it, we got to make sure that we flip it like we did the opposite of this side. So we want it to come out on that side. So when we bring it over again, we have to remember to hit it down on this side. So the base of this old one that I had is just a piece of wood that came off the spring pole lathe. Didn't even turn actually the base, it was just the scrap. I had the handle for mallet here. But what I'm going to do is, if you stay tuned, we'll go over to the spring pole lathe after we're done, and we'll turn a proper bottom for this new one. I'm really trying to be cautious to not burn it up. If you saw my fro making video, I got the forge too hot too quick, didn't even realize it, and before I knew it, my fro was burnt off. So with a coal forge, you definitely have to tend it a lot more than you do with a gas forge. We got it cut off and now we're drawing it out longer. Here I've gone back to shaping the end with the cup for the candle holder. Do have to be very careful because we don't want it to A, burn up, but B, make sure that that tapered cup doesn't fall off from the heat not being even. So we do have to be careful on that. Hopefully we'll be able to do it. There it is right now. We're going to let it go ahead and cool for a little bit. We still have a little bit more shaping, and we have to put a hole in the center for the rivet to go through. But for now, let's go ahead and go to the spring pole lathe and turn out a base for it. I figured as long as I had the wood in the lathe, I might as well continue and make a spoon out of the rest of the piece. Once the pieces were cool, I cleaned them up with a wire wheel. Next, I drilled a hole for the rivet. I like to use boiled linseed oil on hot metal, and it creates a nice blackened finish. Now that this project's done, I'm ready for medieval camping. If you're interested in traditional blacksmithing and woodworking or historic trades, please think about subscribing.